You are now tuned in to the On Track with All My People podcast with your hosts, Amber Peters, A.K.A. Mizz
and Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, ain't nothing strange about it, A.K.A. Mr. David, A.K.A. Ayo Miss.
Oh my God, Daitwan, can we just start the show already? Welcome to the On Track with All My People podcast. We are back and we are black for Black History Month. No, Daitwan is annoyed with me. It's all right. It's
this
okay.
Is take number 4.
It's
take
all right.
number 14. Amber's doing the most.
He's always annoyed with me, so it's okay.
Take number 14. Let me explain something really quick. I want to get into the episode, but I just want to take 30 seconds. I was really in my monologue right now, kind of really getting to the heart of some of the things that we do. And Amber made me mad tiny in the corner and spotlighted herself and then bust out laughing while I was really getting busy and heartfelt about some of the work that I do, right? Like some of y'all gave me feedback that I am the one that causes all the trouble. I see y'all did your little survey. It backfired on me, right? That I'm the one that gives trouble. It is actually Amber who can be very triggering. What do you got to say about that?
And you're still the drama. But anyway,
Let's
listen,
focus.
I'm not saying nothing about that because they know what they know and they hear what they hear. And we don't need your slander this episode. We have a lovely guest waiting for us and she deserves all of our attention. So get to the point.
Let's get to the point. All right. So we talked about, there ain't no respect from you. Disrespectful. We talked about the importance of like self-reflection, self-inventory as a key and critical component to our work. And that's like the past couple of episodes, we said that was so essential. Another key aspect of our work is just creating a runway where students had enough opportunities to have exposure to one, being able to investigate themselves, investigate options that are available to them, create options that are, potential for them, right? And so I know that one of the ways that I think that best happens is when young people have an opportunity to go into new environments and envision themselves in those new environments and see how people that may look like them or look different from them operate in those environments. So one of the things that we wanted to kind of be able to kind of talk about is that the importance of early exposure. I think that's what's going to be the focus on this episode. I know within my work, I've had an opportunity to take a group of 8th graders for about 5 or 6 years with Dr. Horton from Media Law and Fine Arts. And she really had a focus on making sure that young people understood what opportunities look like for them. So we would do what we call the DMV College Tour. We would take students to see PWIs and HBCUs and get them to really investigate, interact with students on campus, get to go to classes, see the departments, and really just process what does that mean for them. And what we found is that, one, it was an exciting thing for them, and that also students had an opportunity to really just envision themselves beyond what was in the present, which is really important. So I have a question for you, right? Mm-hmm. Because one of the key focuses, Black History Month, we're going to be doing a whole series on HBCUs. There was a gentleman named by Dr. Larry Walker, he's educational consultant, right? Focuses on supporting HBCUs and doing research that examines something very important, the impact of environmental factors that they have on academic performance and social emotional functioning of students from HBCUs. So he's really kind of understanding just a lot of the external factors that impact students that go to HBCUs. But he had a dope list, right? Dope reasons to attend an HBCU. I want to read the list really quickly. He said, students benefit from intimate settings. Students are more than a number. That's number 2. You are a member of a community. You are part of a challenging academic environment. You have memorable social experiences. Number 6, the lasting friendships. 7, creating a legacy. 8, learning about the Black diaspora. 9, strong alumni networks. And 10, recognizing your worth. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat. With HBCUs being so fly, Amber, why didn't you attend an HBCU? Talk to them.
Because I was broke.
Talk to them.
I was broke.
Okay.
I was broke.
Okay.
I ain't had no money.
Okay.
So here's the thing. All these things that he's saying, I actually witnessed myself. Shout out to the National Urban League. They have a conference called the New Lights Conference. I wonder if it's still named the same thing. The name might have changed, but the impact is still felt to this day. And so what they do is they convene students from all across the 50 states of America, and they invite them to spend about a week on a college campus. Those college campuses, not they weren't always an HBCU, but we always got to tour the HBCUs in the area. And we had lots of different people who attended HBCUs come to talk to us, and we got to experience what it might be like on campus. But like, imagine just like thousands of Black students from all over having the time of their lives as if they were in a HBCU. They literally
Mm-hmm.
created that experience no matter where you went, even if you were at a PWI. Most of them were public colleges that they had the events at. I had the benefit of going to American University and also Penn State. But imagine that turned into an HBCU, right? Because it's not Black students all crawling all over the campus,
Mm-hmm.
parties, everything like that. We got to tour areas. We got to also be a part of some, HBCU events and things like that. And it was the most impactful. And that was the thing that was like, I am going to a HBCU. I applied to a bazillion of them. Fun fact about me, and I'm always going to tell this story, I was not the brightest student, very smart, but in terms of like my grades and stuff like that, my grades was in the toilet. Why? Because I wasn't really thinking about school like that, because it wasn't challenging me. It wasn't giving me anything that I felt like I needed to level up. And so a lot of the things that I got were outside of school, right? All of the Girl Scouts and, the New Lights Conference and all those type of things happened outside of school, right? But I didn't go to the HBCU just because my package was not right. And it wasn't because of the HBCU. It was because of my student profile, right? Had I spent more time building my student profile, I would have been in shape to get lots of different scholarships. I had some parts of my profile together. My extracurriculars was on point.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Anything outside of school was on point, but the things that they really base things off of, your grades, the merit, right? The merit based scholarships, I did not qualify for because my grades were in the toilet. So that's the only reason why I didn't attend the HBCU. Had it not been for that, I definitely would have been on one of them Black campuses having a Black time of my life. And to
Heard
this
you.
day, I'm like, if I could do it all over, that's exactly where I would be, is at a HBCU.
So, we're about to bring our guests on, but I'll share my story because I attended a PWI that I think the class of '03, shout outs to y'all, we turned into our own small little HBCU via the African American Institute, the Student Center, and a bunch of places. We're creating that space for ourselves. Um, but I wasn't exposed to HBCUs directly. Like I saw things in movies and that intrigued me, and people that came to visit, but I didn't have enough exposure. I think me being able to visit the campus would have solidified that, right? And so one of the things that happened is a senior year, um, meet them where they are. I've learned that and embodied that. There were a group of sophomores from Virginia State University, young women that came in and presented, and I'm like, yo, I am out. I'm going. I'm going.
That sound
Um,
about right. That sound like
yeah,
you're trying.
what? I'm like, I'm
Chasing tail.
going. Meet me where I am. That's yes. Meet me where I am. But I think so. It's like I think if I would have had more exposure, I possibly would have considered it. And also, one of the other things that I will state is that I also kind of, in some ways, fell into the myth that there wasn't going to be diversity. Which at that time I was like, yo, I kind of want that, right? And I learned differently as we got older. But we have a guest that's going to speak more to this. That's more of a professional. We're super excited because she's been doing some dope things. Pick up our guest. Like, what are her accolades? Who are we bringing on today?
Listen, Vanessa Cesar is the woman. First of all, she got 10 jobs, right? She would be the perfect uh person on an episode of Hey Mon.
Yeah. That's
She's a
real.
producer and co-founder of the HBCU Middle School Fair. I'm saying it wrong. Middle School HBCU Fair, the first in Southeast Queens. She works in entertainment. She is an event planner. She got her own business,
Mm.
right? She's a mom. And she is here to chat with us about, HBCUs and early exposure and all that jazz. So welcome, 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 Miss Vanessa Cesar. Hey, girl. Hey. Wait,
Oh,
we can't hear you, girl.
oh no, that's all right. We're gonna make it work. Did you put?
Sorry, I had you guys on mute. Lord have
There we
mercy.
go.
That's all right. We're used to it. We know. We know
Oh,
how this works.
my son was here, and I was like, "Let me put it on mute. Let me be safe." And then I told him to go to his nana's house. But yes, what I was saying was, you guys are hilarious, and I was sitting here cracking up laughing at the both of you and just listening to you all interacting. I cannot wait till this episode airs and then to go back and start from the beginning of all of your episodes and come back up to the latest one. So I look forward to
Appreciate that. We
Thank you for
appreciate that.
joining us. We know, listen, let me tell you, this woman is hardworking, okay? She spent all weekend, all of the last couple of weeks planning for a middle school fair in Southeast Queens. And she's here with us. And we literally seen her like doing all the things, right? She is the host. She making sure everybody all right. She's setting up. She breaking down. She doing the whole bit. And she's here with us. So without further ado, we're going to jump into our little game. We play a game of this or that because we want to get in your business and get to know you a little bit. So we have a few questions and you got to pick one. You can tell us why. You can give us some, backstory as to why, but let's get into it. So the first one, this or that. Would you rather plan large events or small events?
Ooh. I would say large events. Mhm.
Mm.
Large events because the impact is greater. And so I've done both, of course. And to see the impact at a large event has made tears come to my eyes, different things. So I really throw myself into the things that I'm doing. So if I had to choose, I would say large. Yeah.
Awesome. So, being that you went to Clark, Atlanta, right?
CAUA.
Well, this or that, Georgia or New York?
Oh.
Ooh, ooh.
Yes, I did that.
I am going to at this moment today in this moment, I will say New York in this
Ooh,
moment.
there was hesitation. Ooh, I heard the
Yes.
hesitation. She's
um,
like, New York.
Right.
well, because my family is here. There's so much diversity here in New York. One of the things, but now things have changed in Georgia since. But I love, oh, let's go to the village. Let's get that, let's go to, even though the village is different these days, but, I can go here for this. I can go to 116th Street and get a full booba and lapa and, Senegalese food over here, Ghanaian food over here, Guyanese food here, Trinidadian food here. Anywhere else in the world, it would be very difficult. You got to go around
True.
to get all of these things. And I
Mm-hmm.
know from living in Georgia for 6 years, where it's different and difficult, everything's super spread out. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
have to say, I pick New York each time, hands down. Now my
And
Nice.
pockets pick Atlanta, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, Atlanta get expensive, child. I don't know if your
Yes,
pockets go
yes.
stretch like
But
they
you
stretch
can,
now.
I mean, just like New York, people say New York is super expensive, but we New Yorkers and, folks that when we come here, or people come here, you can find, areas to make it work and make it do what it do if you're resourceful like that. So there are areas. I saw the $300,000 home in East Point yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, if I could snatch it up, I would."
and
Awesome.
Peachtree Road is the longest road in all of the world.
There's
It is
like
never never ended.
Right, exactly. Good old ATL, as I got my TAU cup.
The next one, black movies or black books? If you had to choose.
Black movies. I mean, I read, don't tell anybody. I don't love to read. I can read, but
It's okay.
I
It's
We
can.
don't.
okay.
I'm the type to make
She
you
said
prove
I
it.
can. Let's get
Um,
that straight. I
but
can.
baby, I am a movie head. I mean, clearly I'm in radio, my degree was in entertainment. I
Mhm.
still work in entertainment. I love television. I love watching someone else's idea, come, especially TV when they have series and how can you make this story stretch? Right now I'm binging, almost at the end of binging Manifest. Lord have mercy. That
Great
show, whoo
show.
child.
Great
So
show.
I'm about to start calling people. Why can we get it back? I know COVID did a number, that type of thing. But I love movies during Christmas. I always watch It's a Wonderful Life. I can say the lines. I'm one of those kind of girls. I love a black and white movie. And then of course black movies. I could sit and binge black movies all day. I have
Do you have
binge.
a favorite black movie?
I have a favorite director, Gina.
Mm.
Gina Blythe, I believe her last name. She's the director for, of course, Woman King, which is my new favorite movie, and of course,
Really dope.
oldie but goodie, Love and Basketball on.
Okay, so now
Oh, okay.
pause.
Yes.
One of
Nice.
my favorites. One of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but those that know me know. Shout out to Sanaa Lathan. This is we're gonna go there.
Wait, that was your boo thing back in the day?
Still my boo
Your
thing.
girl in your head?
Still my boo thing.
There's
My
so
favorite
many.
movie is The Wiz. Always and forever will always and forever be The Wiz.
That's right. Well,
Always.
I mean, I have many favorites, but yes, I do love and basketball. Just the way I love the Wiz because I'm a dancer. So yeah, I'm a movie head all day, definitely.
Nice. Okay. Well, this one, since you said dancer, dance or sing, this or that.
Oh Lord. Well, for me they go hand in hand, but if I have to choose, dance.
Yes. Favorite genre of dance?
Of dance, I've been an African dance teacher since I was a teenager, so I'd have to say African.
Fire. Fire.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. The last one. Service or profit?
Service.
I knew you would say that.
Service. Uh, um, if I didn't have a child, there's so many things that I would do differently. I love to serve. I love to support, people and support the community. Um, you know, Giving people information, that they didn't know. It's amazing to me. I even stopped working in entertainment for about a year to work in the service industry in the community. And so I still do. I don't think I ever get out of it. And I'm actually looking, towards the future of, doing more service opportunities.
Nice.
Nice,
Oh, I
nice,
love it.
nice,
I
nice.
love it.
So we had an opportunity to kind of learn your affinity for Clark Atlanta. You got the merch going on. I know you did the
Mhm.
branding with the cup showing and everything. All of that, we see it. We understand your love for service, for movies and everything. We want to take a chance to kind of understand your story a little bit from what you're willing to share. Like, what are three factors that you feel, or three key areas of life that got you to where you are today in terms of how you show up in this world today?
I will say faith is definitely a key factor. Faith, is grounding. It grounds me. It keeps me grounded. Um, for faith first, second service, and then culture. Everything that I am embodies those three things. With culture and service comes education, so that kind of flows in there as well. But my faith, I grew up Christian. I still, I still am Christian. However, I do identify with African, the original African faiths, if you will. I do give honor to my ancestors, to those that my angels, my guides. People have different names for different things. I could go off on a tangent about faith, so y'all might just have to stop me. Because I think it's all connected, and which is why I love Manifest. A little sidebar, but it's all connected. That's something that they say in the show a lot. It's all connected as far as faith is concerned, but it has been separated by humans. And so I can't wait for the day that we bring it back to the connection that we all have. And so, my faith keeps me grounded. It reminds me that, whatever test I'm going through at the moment is only for the moment. And so that allows me to move through life and life's different challenges and changes. As we kind of talked about adulting earlier, adulting is not fun. And so you have to be able to lean on, you know, um, I call, God. Some people say all different type of names just for, we'll just say God. You got to lean on God, a little bit in order to keep you sane, keep you whole. I thank God that I have my right mind. Some people do not. And so I can see where I could have lost my mind. But instead, my faith kept me grounded. Um, my culture, being black, my father was Trinidadian. So my mom's American, I'm Black American. Being black, having that mixture is so exciting. Like I thank God every day for my West Indian culture, my Black American culture, and the way that I grew up knowing and learning both. Many people didn't get that. You have some West Indian folks where they only know they're West Indian side. They don't know anything about Black American
Mm-hmm.
culture. And so I thank God that my mother is who she is, that she allowed me and taught me so much about Africa, and took me to Dr. Ben lectures and Dr. Henry Clark lectures when I was young, and I just thought like, this is what everybody did, and then I realized, my friends was
No.
like, "What are you talking about?" When I'm in class and I'm giving all of this information, and they like my teachers be like, "She just knows so much," she talks so much. My mother was a very militant, so her friends were militant. So, my aunts, and these are not my blood aunts, her friends, but I call them my aunts. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
am I frozen? I don't know.
No,
No.
stop.
Oh,
We just,
sorry.
girl,
Uh,
go.
my aunts were a part of what we call the December 12th movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 10, 12 years old, going to rallies, being doing an African dance step for the rallies, and listening to all of this amazing lectures and speeches, and people being around these people back in the late 80s, early 90s. And now these people are the leaders today. Erica Ford, she was a young person emerging in the December 12th movement, and now she is, over what they call her, the godmother of cure violence. And whenever she sees me, she's like, "Oh, that's my little sis." What? I was with her back in the day shooting in the gym. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she recognizes that and knows that. And so it's just being in that, just leaning back to faith. My pastor is the amazing Reverend Dr. Floyd H. Flake, who was also a congressman in this Southeast Queens district. My godmother was the wife of Archie Spigner, who is a longtime council member in this district, here in Queens in the 27th district. And growing up, I just was like, this is, you know, Uncle Archie, Godmother Chrissy, Pastor Flake, who's also my good friend's dad. I guess you could say I took it for granted at the time, and now that I'm older, these people were so instrumental in so many other people's lives, and I call them aunt, dad. I call my pastor dad because he's my friend's dad. So growing up under these amazing people, I can't do anything but be great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit still because this is who I was taught under. They taught me how to move. People are like, how do you do 20,011 things? Because I saw them do 20,011 things.
Mm-hmm.
How could I just sit at home and, excuse my French, but scratch my butt when I just sit and binge all day, all week, or days, and just keep my greatness to myself. It makes no sense to me, because I didn't grow up like that. So, that's my foundation, and that has allowed me to be who I am today, and I'm so grateful, so grateful.
Awesome. Wow. First of all, shout out to all the people that's in your life, because as soon as you said some of the names I recognize very well, that I'm like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are your people.
Mhm.
Amazing, 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 amazing.
Yeah. So it's been just what I said, there's a church song that says, when I sit and think about,
Hey, and
all the
all.
things, all the things,
Yes.
and then just to tap into the African culture as well, is just to, we in many African cultures, you give honor to those that went before you. You give
Mm-hmm.
honor to the wisdom that they gave to you, and the wisdom that they still are, if they're still living, and if they've passed on the wisdom that they are still imparting, from the spiritual. And so my one of my best friend has passed. I call her my sister, my big sister. She passed, and I know that she is like, my angel, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of protecting me and my son, and or probably more so him than me, because he was her favorite. So all of that. Growing up and being around all of that, she used to take me to African dance classes, and I didn't have to pay. I was one of the youngest kids around in the classes with all of these great African dancers. And like I said, I've just been around nothing but greatness. So to go to Clark Atlanta University with a legacy of, W.E.B. Du Bois, and or Dubois, as they would say, the French would say, walking in the same areas that Martin Luther King walked, every day at a time. It's just amazing to me when I think about that. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I feel like, even today, I had an issue today, and I could have told y'all, I'll reschedule. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to let that defeat me because of who I know I came from. You know what I'm saying? I know they were not defeated. And so I have to continue to move on. And, and I do that every day, every day.
Nice. So, like, first of all, heavy on the foundation. Like, I'm like, it just makes me so proud when people really can like look back, right, in their reflective piece, and it's something that we always instill in our kids too, right, to be able to reflect and see where you came from, to see where you're going. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience at Clock Atlanta?
Ooh, well, first I have to tell you how I got there. So my good best friend, which I call, I'm her, like, I follow her everywhere. She went to Cardoza High School. Shout out to Benjamin Cardoza High School in Bayside, Queens. And then she graduated 2 years before me and went to Clark Atlanta. And so I had applied to other schools. I was big on Syracuse at first and big on Morgan. Syracuse because of their media program, and Morgan, I don't even know why I went. I guess because it was a black school. Okay, great, it was close. But then she was like, "Why don't you come to Clark? Well, come visit me." Went down and visited, and we have what's called the Strip. Now it's called the Promenade. And we had came out from one of the rooms, one of the buildings, and everybody had came out from class. And there's an area on the promenade where you can look down the promenade, and I saw nothing but a sea of black young men and women. Baby, the chills that I got, I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah, I'm going to I don't know what you gotta do, but this is where I'm going. And so at the time, because I'm not that young, I don't know, we didn't have internet like that. And she literally walked my application into the admissions department. And that's how I became a Clark Atlanta student. And so, I always say that I owe it to her. And I always thank her, my friend Angela Holcomb, who continues to inspire me to this day. And so, she is the reason why I decided to go to Clark Atlanta. And of course, the amazing Black people that I saw there. Just being on the campus, I got the chills. Once I get chills about something, that's it. That's it.
So let me jump in there real quick. 2019, I had the opportunity to attend Spellhouse Homecoming,
Ooh,
and
Yeah.
when you talk about the promenade and you talk like we went to the tailgating and it was the sea of blackness, right? Like I brought this experience to students and going to visit other schools, but being able to actually get the opportunity to go to that and to see that sea of blackness, and we were talking about there might have been about 4 or 5 different generations of
yes.
people
Yeah,
celebrating, loving up on one another, and it was such a beautiful thing. I
amazing.
know we had Richard Pryor that talked about the first time he went to Africa, and he didn't see a certain, you know, negative stereotype of Black people, right? And that changed his whole perspective. That was kind of the same feeling. Like I went there and I was like, man, this is amazing. And so I definitely get the feeling of what you discussed there. Did we lose Amber? Amber, what's going on? You here with us? Amber got kicked out, but that's all right. That's all right.
It's
We're
okay.
gonna.
We can do this.
I got this. Amber tried to set me up for failure, but I'm prepared. I am prepared. I know you on mute,
Who
so you said
tried to
something.
set you up for failure? Who did
You,
that?
you disappeared.
Who
You
did
playing
that?
funny style business.
I needed to make sure I was powered up to continue this conversation. It's getting juicy, and I don't want my computer to die in the middle of it.
Okay, so then we're gonna make it happen. So we talked about the three aspects. Amber, I think you particularly wanted to get into the issue, a specific issue.
But before we get into the issue, I just
Okay.
want to highlight the fact that we went to an amazing college fair yesterday. I had this little man come up to I was still steady trying to figure out who his mama was. This little boy couldn't be more than like 8 or 9 years old. And he came up to the table and he said, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I just wanted to know if you had any educational opportunities for young people like me." And it blew my mind
Yeah.
that a 7 or 8 year old,
You about to make
right?
me cry.
One, he
Yeah.
was prepped and ready. So whoever his mama is,
Man.
shout out to you. The
Yeah.
fact that she prepped him so well and he had questions. Like he didn't come to me and just was like, okay, my mom said to go pick this paper up off the table and bring it back to her. He had questions and he was telling me what he wanted to do in the future. He wanted to be a chef and a singer, right? I said, what? Okay. I said, so how are you doing in school? He's like, I'm doing pretty good. So, I encouraged him to keep his grades up and things like that. But like, that's the impact of the event that we went to, right? But we know that the reason why you had to have that event in the first place was because that exposure doesn't happen for middle school students, right? We always see like the HBCU fairs, and sometimes parents will bring out the younger kids, but they're usually targeted towards high school students. So,
Hmm.
for you, like, why that event? Like, what made you say this has to happen? Why did you get into producing that particular event?
So I've been doing college fairs since 2015 as an alumni. Um, and, you know, I always see, I always ask what grade are you in? And a lot of them are like, oh, 12th grade. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your grades like? And they're like, oh, well, I'm not that great. And, a lot, you'd be surprised, not that great. Okay, well, have you ever heard about an HBCU? Not really. Okay, well, it's January. You know what I mean? And so I started to realize that over and over and over again, our students were late to the party, if you will. And so it's one thing to be late to the party, to be fashionably late, but it's
Hmm.
another thing to be late to the party and you missing out on the whole party. And what I found for New Yorkers, and specifically, is that our no no shade to DOE, but DOE does not prepare our students for college properly at all. They hire lackluster individuals to be college. Now this was back in the days. Maybe I don't know everyone. No shade to anyone that's a college advisor or anything like that at a high school, but the ones that I have encountered are not proactive at all. The only thing that they are proactive about is just making sure they apply. And so, what I mean by that is, I started realizing that they only start, first of all, they only start the students in September. That's too late if the students want to go to an HBCU. Why? Because most HBCUs start in August. And so excuse me, most HBCUs open in August, and most schools down south and outside of New York City open up in August. So they're already a month, 2 months behind, because even though we start in September, we really don't get into it real good until about October, November. That's too late for HBCUs. Early admissions is November 1st. That's the deadline. And so if you're just now getting all of your information, it's too late. So I was tired of that, thinking after talking to all the students, like, you're late. Like, in my head, it's just like, they're late. They're late. They're late. They're missing out. They're missing out. And so then it's like, okay, well, what could you do to fix it? And I was like, we got to start them earlier. And so a friend of mine, he is a principal. He went to Howard, and he invited me to his school's middle fair. Like, he would just have, colleges there. And I was like, this is really dope. And I supported them a few times. And then I'm like, okay, but this is just in his school. We need to do something community wide where the parents are coming, because this was just with the kids, in the school. It was like a assembly almost, and so I kept saying, I want to do something different. Everybody's on social media doing their hair, doing their makeup, and, HBCU this and HBCU that. And I just wanted to do something different. What was different? I went on a college tour. It was nothing but high school students. Again, it was too late for some of them. Some of them, they really benefited. And so myself and my partner, my co-founder, Tiffany, who also went to Clark Atlanta, we had this conversation, and we were like, she's works in schools, and she was like, we have to do something different. And I'm like, yes, we do. I've been wanting to do a fair. And then my son, got in middle school. And so this is how we birthed the HBCU middle school fair. And so the success of yesterday's event, I'm surprised I didn't cry. I cry for everything, by the way. And so I was just so proud yesterday to see the support that we got from the community.
Oh,
yeah. And the support that we continue to get from the community, reaching out, letting us know that they want to be involved. How can I be involved? How can I do it next time? And also the resources that we had. So it wasn't just for the students and their parents. It was for, the community to come. And because it was on MLK Day, it was great. Even if you never knew of anything about an HBCU, you could just come and talk and find out information and take it back to a young person in your community. And so I was truly pleased at the turnout. I wasn't nervous about the folks that were, the schools that we had, because those are my friends. We're always doing events together. I was nervous about people coming. I was like, oh no, are they going to come?
And they did.
And they did. It was a constant, consistent flow, exactly what I thought was needed and wanted. And I'm just super proud that it was a success.
Yeah, so I want to say, if you don't know me, you will get a chance to know me. I'm looking for those tiers because it brings good ratings. So I'm gonna recap how
this
dope,
man,
because I want to see the tiers.
I'm
trying to make sure we were trending. Amber spoke about the young man that was 7 or 8 years old that came up to us and really embodied what we want. Like, it's the intervention to be able to produce young people that are able to advocate for themselves. Like his parent was nowhere around, right? He was
Nowhere
at the
around.
table at himself, and he had an opening line. He had direct contact. He had intention. Really, really dope. We also had parents that were kind of understanding the importance of like the middle step, like why it was important to choose the right high school, right? So one of the key things that I think was so important is that parents showed up, right? And that's one of going to be
Mm-hmm.
the key factors in being able to kind of correct some of the issues that we're seeing with the lack of early exposure. So we wanted to get you to kind of speak on this, and hopefully with a few tears. I'm trying to get the left one, because that's a good side for you
This
right there. Um,
he want the
I,
Denzel tear,
yeah, that one
the
tear.
glory tear,
No,
but
Yes,
a
I did
happy
not.
one,
Mm-mm.
but a happy one instead.
here we go. I am. I think people can perceive what the benefits, but you have this vision in mind. You've been on the front lines. You're also an alumni president, chapter president, right? From the tri-state. I'm going to get all of those together. I got it written down. What do you perceive is going to be the impact of the work that you're doing 5, 10 years down the line? Tears?
Now you really.
I got them.
um, because in that moment, I just saw such a shift and a change in mindset. Um, in the Southeast Queens community, we have a gem. We have, hardworking people, nurses, doctors,
Mm-hmm.
lawyers, business owners, community entrepreneurs, and but we also have a large portion of our community who is lost, who don't know what to do, and so I hope that what we're doing changes that, not only in our community. We're looking to go throughout the 5 boroughs with this, but to change the thought process of our community, one person at a time, one child at a time, and one family at a time. And the way that you do this is you start early. I went to Allen Christian School, and the reason why I have this mindset is because of Reverend Doctors Floyd and Elaine Flake. They both went to HBCUs, Fisk, and I don't remember. Pastor Elaine went to Fisk. I'm trying to remember what school Pastor Floyd went to, but um, they, always instilled, being in their school, we always learned Black history. We always knew about, our history and what we come from, and how to move forward, what we need to do to move forward. And so I think that is missing in a large part of our community. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I hope to change the mindset. You know, some people don't agree with HBCUs. They feel like they are a waste of money. Some people feel like college is a waste of money, period. But the the knowledge that I gained from attending Clark Atlanta University, the support system, all the things that Daitwan said earlier about why, you were reading a list, as to why you should attend an HBCU. Um, it's true. My network right now is beyond crazy. I got thrusted into entertainment even further than I thought, because I was at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta in the late 90s, into the 2000s. I actually worked at Hot 97 down there, and I was chilling with Lil Wayne and the Hot Boys when
I was about to
that
say
song,
you dropped the bar right there. I hope they pick that up.
when that came out. I was working with Kathy Hughes. I got to meet Kathy Hughes of Radio One, and
Mm.
what is the channel, TV1. So just to be around these people, these are our current moguls, if you will. To meet Puffy, Jay-Z, to have Jay-Z poke me in the chest, like the stories are endless, but I am it's that type of environment that I was able to forge for myself on the campus. Just because I was a bold little girl from Queens that walked up to somebody at the Hot 97 truck and was like, you need some help? I'll pass out flyers for you. Y'all got an internship? What you need me to do? And that's how it
Oh,
started. My freshman year, I was pretty much interning at the radio station from like sophomore year when I really could intern up until senior year, and then graduated and started working there. So I've been in entertainment all my life, and and then working with high profile people all my life, and so I, that's largely, of course, because of my foundation, but it's because of Clark Atlanta University. Being in the Mecca, they call it Howard the Mecca. No, being at Clark Atlanta in the '90s, late
Y'all
shots
gonna all
'90s,
fired.
fight. Y'all
was
gonna
the
all
Shots
fight
Mecca.
about
fired.
this. Who the Mecca?
Okay, it was the Mecca of, well, for entertainment at the time. Jermaine Dupri, everybody came to our school for everything, and so, and it's not just our school. I have to be very clear. The really popular HBCUs, all of the anybody who's who, they come to our campus because this is where the best of the best, of black folks are. And so, companies, Morgan Stanley, had a residence, I guess a residency, you can say, where they were constantly having interns from Spelman. And my best friend, she started interning at Morgan Stanley, then worked there for about 10 years, and now she's, managing partner at, if I'm maybe partner, anyway, director or something at Berkshire. And so this is the type of opportunities, if you have someone that's in upper management at several companies throughout the world, if you will, mostly, of course, here in America, 9 times out of 10 they went to a HBCU. So
I tell
if
my
you.
students that all the time.
Hmm?
All the time. If you look at the most prominent people, you look at heads of companies, CEOs, founders, for like especially a lot of these corporate companies as well, you'll see somebody from an HBCU leading the way. So I always tell them, listen, don't disregard because the big names came from HBCUs.
And our leaders, who um um Martin Luther King, of course. W.B. Du Bois was a scholar from our school. He taught. He was a Clark Atlanta University. Even though they were right next to each other, but Atlanta University teacher, scholar there, and took the school wherever he went. And Frederick Doug, all of them, really cultivated their skills on the campuses of black schools, because that's where we got to, get together. That's where it was okay for us to be together. We forged that opportunity and we created that for ourselves. Whether using some schools, because people love to say this all the time, oh, but y'all use white money. So what? We didn't have it. Where was we gonna get it? It's the white people that had it, you know. And then once we got it, once we got there, we got an education. We went out and made, a name for ourselves, and doctors, lawyers, different things like that. So I'm proud. I wear it proudly, wear it on my back, on my truck, on my everything. So I have no problems, with supporting Clark Atlanta. And don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect world. Um, as there are many issues at all of the HBCUs, as well as PWIs. I think it's really funny how the people like to highlight what's going on at HBCUs, and
Mm-hmm.
it's some of the same things going on at PWIs. A lot of schools have issues that with the freshman year, or that first year, that first week coming into school, and dorms not having enough rooms, and all of that, because they play a gamble, because some people, they drop out,
Yeah.
and so a lot of people like to highlight that and spotlight that for HBCUs, and I just think that it's real tacky, because that's
Yes, it
minimal
is.
to the education that you get, the environment, the support, the on and on. When I was there, I wanted to intern at a radio station. I mean, I did intern at Hot, but we had a radio station in our school. WCLK. It was a jazz station, and I wanted to work at the jazz station with them because it was right there. Um, they wouldn't let us. They had their students. They wouldn't let me, even though I was a senior. They wouldn't let me. And so I say, you know what? This shouldn't be. If students want this experience, they shouldn't have to go to Hot 97 and pray that they get to be a part of their internship. They should be able to have their own shows. And myself, that radio class of 2000, we created a radio station that's still there to this day. It's called WSTU. We created it, and you can look it up, WSTU, and you can listen because now they're online as well. So I'm truly
Nice.
proud to be a part of that experience as well.
Nice. So here's the thing though, right? So like I'm listening to you, right? And I'm hearing all this wonderfulness, but there are some counselors, as we talked about, um counselors need to have more information in order to direct students to HBCUs. But in thinking about the ones that serve younger students, right? Like we kind of have an idea of like how the adult serving older students can, but like if there is like a counselor, a principal watching from a middle school and elementary school, like what kind of things would you want them to do to expose their kids further to HBCUs?
I would say expose your students to college in general. I've noticed lately a lot of elementary schools, they may have this classroom's name is whatever. You know what I mean? Penn State, this state, they're gearing them in that way. But it's also about conversation and incorporating it in lesson plans. You can have a lesson plan about anything. If you're reading some information for ELA, read about, the history of different schools. Especially if you're in a Black neighborhood, I think it's important to show our students what they come from, the history. We're not only about getting beat by cops because that
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
a low percentage as it pertains to what the contributions that we have contributed to this country. And so I think that's the way. Incorporate college in your everyday conversations. Not to the level of, if you don't do this, you're not going to get into a college. You know what I mean? But kind of saying, this is the type of writing that they do. Show writing samples. This is what a dissertation is. At Clark Atlanta, X is happening right now. At Howard, this is happening right now. And kind of incorporating that throughout the year. For example, the semesters, like how they break it up. Just stuff, little things that teachers can do and make it a teaching moment, if you will, to educate students on not just HBCUs, but college in general. And so as it pertains to HBCUs, I think it's more so of the history and the legacy that each of them have attributed to even their specific area. For example, Clark Atlanta was a hub for the civil rights movement. Well, at the time it wasn't Clark Atlanta, but it was Atlanta University and Clark College. It was the hub for the civil rights movement. Those students were well involved in, those scholars at the time were well involved in what was going on there. There's also several stories about, I'm trying to remember the school. It may not have been a Black school, but when the different marches that happened back in the 60s, those were at colleges. Back in those days, it was college students that was making a change. And so that's important to know. that, once you get to that level of education, of course, you can make a change in high school. You can even make a change in middle school. But when you're on a college campus and you galvanize and get everybody together, there's so many different things that can happen. For example, we got together and we created a radio station. So that's something that's long lasting. And I don't think that students know that. They don't understand that these are the things that go on in school. They just think, in colleges, they just think like, oh, it's, it's just school. And when I'm at a fair, I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, college, especially if you go away, college is like 70% not, maybe not 70, maybe 60% education and 40% the living environment, and so it's important that and I guess I gotta give it a 60, because if you fail school, they kick you out. So
Oh
you don't
yeah.
have
Let's
none
not,
of that.
let's not mess them up that way. You still
Right.
got to do the school part.
Especially if you go away, but you definitely still have to do that. But there's so many different ways to do it, there's so many different ways that you can go about education. So I definitely want them to understand that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so we did have a question about best resources for parents, but I think you really kind of touched upon that in several different ways. I do want to ask this question because let me just get this down properly. I have it written down. You are also the Greater New York Tri-State, and earlier you wanted me to emphasize Tri-State, not just New
Right.
York, not just New York and New Jersey, but New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, right? So the Greater New
Yes.
York Tri-State chapter president for Clark Atlanta. So you got insight, and we had an opportunity to talk. I'm curious, what is one or two best practices for a counselor to support seniors, juniors, or seniors that are trying to get into an HBCU? How can they use alumni reps better in the matriculation process or the application process?
I think, we're accessible. I think that's the myth that, I know we had a conversation about, well, how do we get in touch? And I'm like, we're on social media, all of us, and so we have no problem. You can pick up the phone and call us. We also have a direct connection to the school. And so what that means is that, I'll give you an example. I had a student that she applied. She couldn't see her application online. I made a phone call, and then she found out she was accepted. And she was just so excited. I had another student who they weren't getting any information, which happens
Mm-hmm.
sometimes during. And so what we act as, most alumni associations, not just mine, not just our school, we're support. We're on the ground support, in-state support. We know what's going on here in the education system and how it transcends at our schools. And so, we're just support. We're, right here, text message, pick up the phone support versus I gotta wait for an email to come back and all that kind of stuff. And we have meetings often with the admissions office, and what they do is they use us when they can't make certain events, and so that's the trade off. When I pick up the phone to call, I don't get paid. Let's be very clear. Hold on. Select a rewind. I do not get paid for this that I do.
Rewind.
This is all service, volunteer service. Our motto at Clark Atlanta University is culture for service and find a way or make a way, find a way or make one. And this is, what we live by. And so it's culture for service. I'm here because someone was here for me,
Mm.
when I was younger. And so, she wasn't a part of the alumni association at the time, but she was a current student and she literally helped me through the process. And so I would not be who I am today if I did not receive that support. And how could I not pay it forward? And so I've had the opportunity to pay it forward a few times, sitting in this role. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I don't do it because I'm going to get something back. I do it because, you know, people lives can be changed just by a few words, and so I've seen many lives changed by things that I've worked on, ways that I've supported. And so I'm just grateful that, I cried when, people graduated. And, I had a recent student, she is a junior now. From her freshman year, she was sending emails begging people to help and give her money. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, because at the time, the culture was that the alumni associations, the individual ones, we could not support in that way. We didn't have separate scholarships. And then we were allowed to have separate scholarships. And so in 2021, we created a scholarship. And this student who we couldn't give money to, she's been the recipient of our scholarship for 2 years. And
Nice.
so she's as God would have it, a West African lineage. Her mom is from Guinea, and I have Guinea family that I call family. And so it's just like we clicked. And so I've been helping her through her process. And she, because of that, she was Miss Sophomore. She then became a Delta. And so just watching this young woman, she studied abroad in Ghana. Just watching this young woman matriculate, do even better than me, is just, I, you know, I'm just so pleased. And so I look forward to supporting other students in that same way.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So Vanessa, shouts outs to you on the amazing work that you're doing. This is the part of the segment where we kind of get a chance to wrap up. But first, Amber and I are truly thankful. One of the key things that we have done with the podcast is making sure that we investigate issues, celebrate. We wanted to make sure that you felt celebrated in the space and for your efforts and for your work. I'm looking for another tier, the other eye this time. Um, and then also just to make sure that there's elevation. So here's the elevation part, because you said some dope things. When I was looking down, I want people to know that I was taking notes on my phone. One of the things you first stated was like everything is connected, and you was focusing on the key phrase from manifest, right? You talked about faith kept you grounded. You mentioned December 12th movement, and one of the most interesting things that I heard was that your early exposure was a critical part of your development, and look how it manifested into your passion today. I think that's pretty dope. You did not grow up keeping your greatness to yourself, and I think that was so key, which is why you probably chose, service over profit. We know money plays a role. This is critical because I want that $300,000 house for you, right? I want you to get that, right? And that can't just come with service. But we know that you are true to the work, and I love that. You also say to something really, really powerful. You said, I'm not going to let that defeat me because I know who I came from. Um, Knowledge of self. You talked about African cultures and traditions, knowledge of those that came before you and honoring them. That was such a profound thing that I think needs to be embedded in all of our communities and our people, regardless of if they feel as though they have a direct connection to that lineage. It is important to know where you came from and how you move forward. I think was really key. One of the key aspects that you're trying to do is to change the mindset of how people feel about HBCUs, redirect and sort of like get people to deconstruct their misconceptions. You said something that I think resonated with me because I'm hoping to put this on the shirt. You said 60% is education, 40% is the living environment in terms of the experience. I often tell young
Yes.
people that a lot of what I learned in college was outside of the classroom. The classroom was very important, but a lot of what I learned about myself, about life, about people,
Mhm.
about the world was definitely outside of the classroom. And I
Mhm.
think such a phenomenal way of wrapping this up, especially as you concluded your event yesterday with your co-founder Tiffany Sparks, right? Culture for service, find a way or make one, right? Clark Atlanta
Period.
motto. We are so happy to be connected with you. Looking forward to what's coming up next. We want to make sure that you get the final word. What is something that is on your heart to kind of say to the people?
I would say gratefulness. In every when you're grateful, um, just whatever happens, I don't live trying to control everything. And so, I'm just grateful to God. I'm grateful to you all that you all, when we sat and talked, yeah, I felt like I was talking y'all's heads off. That, you know, we kept in touch, that we stayed intentional with each other, and we kept in touch. And so I'm definitely grateful for this relationship that we've created, and that we will continue to create and support each other. And so, continue to be grateful. We have to be grateful. Once we teach young people gratefulness and to stand on their foundation, whether they, received a positive foundation or a negative one, but
Mm-hmm.
just to be steadfast and moving forward. I have a teenager myself, and baby, it ain't easy. There's so many hormones and thoughts and all type of stuff going on. But I continue to, remind him that, sir, you have to be grateful for the things that you get, because you didn't have to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's important for young people, because some of us, parents, right? Because we didn't have much, so we want to shower our children with everything. And now, for example, something as trivial as a charger, our children are thinking, "Oh, my mama just give me another one. It's nothing." Meanwhile, the chargers is like
Facts.
$30. You know?
My daughter
So
just
this is
lost a charger yesterday, a whole computer charger. But I'm not. It's not about me. It's about you.
this is a real thing. So this is a real thing, because this just happened. And I just want for our young people to be grateful for their teachers, grateful for us community folks who are pouring into them, and see it as it's happening. Because it's kind of difficult when you're young, right? But I remember being, even though my teacher was annoying, I loved her. You know what I mean? I loved her, and whatever she needed, I was trying to, support her with. And so I just really want that for our young people. Just remember to be grateful. And stand firm on your foundation. And if at all, when you're not firm, there's always someone around you that is willing and wanting to support you. And so I really hope that they are able to lean on that support, because we are out here. I have many children. I have one that I birthed, but I have many children, and I love each and every one of them, inside and out. And so that is it. All of the children that I come in contact with me at college fairs, of my children at that moment. And that's how I speak to them. Whenever I speak to them, I don't ever just say, why they should, you got to go to Clark Atlanta, you got to go to Clark Atlanta. I never do that, because Clark Atlanta was great for me, but Clark Atlanta might not be great for everyone. And so, with all the 107 HBCUs that are out there, I always make sure and talk to the students about what works for you. It's important for you to look and you to do the research, not mommy, daddy, auntie, cousin, grandmama, and them. But you need to do the work for yourself. What do you like? What environments do you like? I'm super outgoing, but you might not be. And so, what can support you to being a great student. And so this is the information that I want to leave with students, that I try to leave with them. It's about you figuring out what your future looks like. Even if you don't know, make a decision on one thing. You can choose a school without choosing a major. Don't get hung up on a major, because it can change. You might not like it. Don't get hung up on a school. You might go to the school. I had a student on a college tour. She went she loves Spelman. No shade to my Spelman sisters, but she loves Spelman. When she got there, she was like, oh, she didn't really like it. And that's the thing. It's, you have to get out there, take the time to visit the school that you're interested in, get your top five together. Once you've done all your research, get your top five together and go visit the top five, and then make your choice. And so, and have fun with it, because life is supposed to be fun.
Yes, I agree.
especially when you're young. I get so sad when these kids just be so stressed out. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we have fun, enjoy life. Even though adulting is hard, I still have fun, and have fun stories to tell. If you find one of my besties, they might tell you, but that's what life is about. Enjoying it. You're never too old to have fun. And say fun. Don't be crazy, but say fun things that you like to do. I love to travel. I love to dance, and so if I could dance and travel, it's a win-win. So I just really encourage all young people, teachers, and everyone that works in with young people, because it can be daunting and heavy in some instances. But we have to remember that we have to enjoy what we're doing, and and live for that enjoyment. So yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Like, I'm sitting
Thank
here, I'm
you.
still blown away by like all that you shared with us and all that you've left us with. And I'm hoping that the rest of you out there are watching and listening to, what it takes, right? Like, it's not easy for us to get here as adults, right? But like, when we hear these journeys, we are so amazed by the people that we are ultimately connected to. Can you tell the people though, like, if they wanted to follow you, right? They wanted to send you an email about Clock Atlanta. Can you give us a little something, something, and we will share it in our description box so that you guys can connect with Miss Vanessa.
Sure. So my Instagram handle, my personal Instagram handle, is I am Vanessa C. That's my professional handle. And then the Clark Atlanta, the alumni chapters handle is CAU. Hold on, wait. I'm about to mess it up, y'all. But our email is CAUAANY@gmail.com. So
Awesome.
CAUAANY@gmail.com. So you can definitely send us an email. Okay. And our Instagram handle is CAUAA_NY.
Awesome. So if you guys are interested in going to Clock Atlanta, Vanessa is your girl. She gonna hook you up. She gonna tell you all the insides, outsides, and all the insides, outsides. But thank you so much for joining us. Like, we are so grateful. Listen, this is not gonna be the last you hear from us three. Okay. She messed with
Absolutely.
us. Now she's stuck with us.
There you go.
So so we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. We are on track with all my
All my
people with your
people.
host Ms. P and
Daitwan David, Dr. Change. See y'all next time.
we are out. See you next time.